Hey everybody, looks like we're live. Once again, welcome to Stage 6, Day 6 and Beer 6. Tour de France of the Tour de Beer. If you're new to the channel and just come across us, what we're doing is we're trying and tasting a different beer every day of the Tour de France. We'll give a quick race recap and then we'll talk about the beer. Maybe tell you what you can pair it with. A little bit of Cicerone talk. Something about beer styles. I'm Uncle Frank. I am with Team Beer Guts, and welcome aboard. If there's something that you're into, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and most importantly, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. So, let's get right to it. Stage 6, Tour de France. Looked like it was going to be one for the sprinters, and it was. Very kind of weird, contentious at the intermediate sprint going in between. Had a not a breakout, oh god, I'm going blank. The lead out and the breakaway. Thank you, the breakaway. And those guys were going for a while. Didn't think they were really going to be able to get away with the entire thing. So your intermediate sprint was against your sprint contenders, but it really came down to the end once the peloton caught those guys, and it was all about the lead-out trains. Alpecin Fenix, DeCunit Quickstep. Bora, not really there. So again, my favorite guy for the sprints, which is Peter Sagan, didn't really get a good chance. It looked like he'd be able to do it because he's very good at finding other trains to jump onto, but the other teams managed to move their way in, box him in a little bit. I think they were playing team tactics on other teams, but the Manx Missile, once again, I haven't seen this guy ride this hard and this fast and this amazing in quite some time, and Mark Cavendish gets another stage, wins his 32nd ever stage of the Tour de France. People are going to start talking about him as far as records. That's 2 this year as well. So, now, how does that relate to what beer? I really don't know. I couldn't pick a beer because this was unprecedented. Maybe that's where I went for today's beer. So after watching that, I went to the Portsmouth Brewery and I was hanging out and talking to some people there. Had some lunch. And Maxine, who's the brewer there, we were talking about some other beers. So I figured I'd pick up one of her beers for today's beer. And this one is called Black is Beautiful. Now, this beer is a collaboration where they've done this beer. Multiple breweries have done a Black is Beautiful type beer. And they have to do something in the big, dark beer. Could be Imperial Stout. Could be Crazy Big Doppelbock. Could be something like that. And proceeds is to call awareness. So their version of the Black is Beautiful is an Imperial Oatmeal Stout. And it's very interesting the way that they did this beer, because they do a big Imperial Stout. Now you also have this. So you put these kind of together, and you're like, oh, Imperial and the Oatmeal Stout? This should be pretty damn good. Also, going to make a really nice nightcap. What do we got? Ooh, oh, and I'm spilling. Oh, jeez. Sorry. As you would expect, dark beer. And what I like about certain dark beers, the ones that I right away look for, is it dark with a very, very white head, or is it dark with this tan head? And that means there's just so many more dark oils from some of the dark malts that are going to come through here. Past few beers, we've been talking about either lager or some hops. Not expecting that in this. Big malt aroma to this. So if we want to talk styles, Imperial Stout, so you have stout that are usually categorized into, say, dry Irish stout, export stout, American stout, which is going to be hoppier, Imperial Stout. And your Russian Imperial Stout, or just Imperial Stout, made for the Russian Tsars way back when, of this higher strength. This one is 8.5%. Typically something you might have colder weather. Maybe if you're sitting in Siberia. I don't know. This is the type of beer that you might want or need. Or if it's the beginning of July, but it's a cooler night. The rain has come, and you just need something to sip on instead of having a end of night nightcap or a cocktail. Imperial Stout. Aroma. I definitely get the oatmeal here for sure. Bread, cookies, a slight flour, not flowers like ooh, flowers, but flour. Um, Sweetness from the malt, but not overly sweet. And that lends into the taste. Big, big mouthfeel. Beers like this should have a big, thick mouthfeel. Raisins. I get a raisiny character. So beers like this are big and they can be aged as well. And as that happens, you might get a little bit more raisiny character to it. Very typical for barley wines, not as typical for imperial stouts, but I feel like this being an oatmeal stout as well, you're going to get some viscousness. I don't even know if that's a word, but we're going to go with viscousness. And that can be perceived as raisin, toffee, Tootsie Roll. There's a good flavor. So this beer's dessert. You want to think about what beer you're going to want to pair this with? You don't. With dessert, say you have a 4-course and you're going to maybe have an 8-ouncer of this. So this is a 16-ounce can, by the way. So yeah, you could split this with someone. 8 ounces, you've got some chocolate cake, some Reese's peanut butter cups, some ice cream, all of that all together. Mix that together, and then you have this on the side, or you just have this as your dessert beer. So here's your quintessential dessert beer. There's another flavor in here as well, and I can't quite put my finger on it. It's very enjoyable. It's very nice. It's not vanilla, but there's some sweetness that's there, and sometimes of beers of this style, so your imperial stouts could also have that, a little bit of vanilla to it. Imperial stouts are such a wonderful beer, and everybody thinks about having them in the winter or when it's cold. Don't wait. Don't just have them then. If it's the type of night that you want to have an imperial stout, maybe you had some bad news and you just found out that you have to have knee surgery, and yeah, but you don't want to have a cocktail? Well, have an imperial stout too. Kind of the same idea, but it's beer. Question is, did you work for it? This is going to pack a punch. It's also going to pack some calories. So always, as we always say here for Team Beer Guts, ride your bike, earn your beer. That's why we talk the bikes and we talk about the beer. What would you pair this with? Again, yeah, it's going to be a dessert, or you're just going to have it on its own. Imperial stouts are big. It's a super interesting style. I encourage everybody to read more about imperial stouts. And this Black is Beautiful project, like I said, that is just one of those great ideas that the craft beer community, which has caught a lot of shit for a lot of other stuff, but the bottom line is the craft beer community in general, and for 95% of us, do pretty good things, and it's filled with a lot of really, really good people. So if you've seen that negative news, pay attention to it. It's important, understand it, but it doesn't define us. It does not define the brewery. So cheers to the Portsmouth Brewery. Some of my favorite people. Saw Peter today, saw Maxine today. I love those guys, and I love going over there and hanging out and talking beer and business and whatever else that we're going to talk about all throughout the day. But I'm going to sit back, and I saw today's stage, but I'm going to watch some other highlights as well and enjoy my end-of-day beer. So to you, I say cheers, Prost, and we will see you tomorrow for Stage 7. Thanks again. Cheers. Man, this is good. It's a really, really good beer. Yeah, I like this. All right, see ya.